You are listening to the Vaultcast, the official podcast of the B-Movie Film Vault, with your hosts, Jordan Garrett and Silent Steve Oldford.
Robot roll call.
Jordan.
Silent Steve.
Microphone.
Okay. So hey everybody, this is Jordan and Silent Steve. And,
yes, as the roll call revealed.
This is our Mystery Science Theater Quickie episode.
Quickie, if there's ever been a Quickie episode.
For us, yeah. There's been one.
The closest we ever got about Transformers, and that's because we didn't want to talk about it. This is something we do want to talk about, so getting it in a reasonable time is kind of a very brave endeavor.
Yeah. So the reason we chose this topic this week is because Shout Factory just had their Mystery Science Theater Turkey Day Marathon online.
Yes, they did.
Which was amazingly successful yet again.
And it should be. Even though it seems to be the same episodes that we not only have on DVD, but a lot of the same ones we've seen. I welcome it with open arms. I watch the same ones anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But having it be part of that tradition that they started decades ago.
Back in 91 when they were still on Comedy Central.
Yes,
yep.
Or Comedy Channel.
Comedy Channel.
Yeah. I welcome it, and I'm happy that it happens. It makes Thanksgiving better. Of all the marathons that happen on that day, I think it's by far the best.
As if we needed something else to put us to sleep besides tryptophan.
Okay, yes. We'll get into that part of it. Yeah. But, how to start here?
Should we start with us meeting Joel here?
No, I don't want to start with that yet, because that's something that is the comeuppance of our devotion to this thing.
Okay.
This is more like the conclusion to the essay, us meeting him. I would say where we start is, what was the first episode you saw?
That's easy, Pod People. It was on PBS late night. And it was the Mystery Science Theater Hour. Mike Nelson played this old man that introduced the show, and they cut it into 2 one-hour chunks. I never saw the second part.
Really?
Yeah.
That's such a weird way to see it.
And it's a recurring character from previous Mystery Science Theater episodes, where Mike Nelson dresses this old man. I can't remember the character right now. But he introduces...
I haven't even heard of this aspect of it.
Yeah, they did it for like 5 or 6 episodes, so it would be on public broadcasting.
Okay.
But yeah, I was up late one night, I flipped by PBS, and I just saw like the silhouettes, and I was like, what's this? And then I sat there and watched it, and next thing I know, I was hooked, and then it was over. Never saw it again until Rhino released them on videotape and then DVD.
I'm older than you by just a few years.
Yeah.
Mystery Science Theater debuted on the Comedy Channel in '89. I was 9 years old. I'll let our listeners do the math. And I came across the second episode, Robot versus the Aztec Mummy. I was just flipping through. This is back when you flip through to find stuff.
Yeah.
You didn't have a guide. You did have the TV guide if you bothered to read it.
Yeah. Which I did religiously.
For different reasons. Yeah. We'll get into that later. That's another episode, the Spank Bank episode.
I was talking about Godzilla marathons. But
really? Yeah. I would always go through and look for sexual content.
Yeah.
SC.
What's on Cinemax this weekend?
Yeah. But anyway, no. I happened upon it, and it wasn't even the beginning of the episode. It was midway through. They were already watching the movie, and the movie was on, and there was this weird silhouette at the bottom of the screen, and these characters talking. And what they were saying made the movie better. And it made me laugh. A lot of the stuff was just making me laugh out loud at the tender age of 9.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, what is this marvelous thing? So I stuck to that channel until I at least got a promo or something.
Yeah. So you know when it was coming on again.
So I know it was coming on again. And I just got addicted to it first season. And I've been a loyal devotee ever since. Now, I did drop off during the Mike era a little bit, but that was because I was getting to be a teenager and I was rebelling against everything I loved. But
you came crawling back.
I did come crawling back, like the crawling eye. It was this thing that only I watched. No one else in my school watched it.
Yeah.
And when I would turn it on, people were like, what is this thing? Like, people in my family, they're ruining the movie because they're talking through it. No, they're not. They're making it better. Like, it was this thing that I felt like only I could get, and I felt very alone watching it. But I still loved it. So it was a little different experience for me, I guess, than you.
Yeah. And then when I finally did rediscover it back in the late 90s when it was on Sci-Fi, that's when I started to get to other people watching.
Yes. That actually, by then it had kind of gestated into the public consciousness to the point where you could introduce it to someone and they would be open to it. And I told you, maybe, I don't know how long ago it was, I really think this is the most important television show ever.
Yeah.
And the reason I think that is because there's a lot of television shows that influenced the genre that they were in.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't be able to do anything like Mystery Science Theater without feeling like a copycat.
Yeah.
Okay, there have been great sitcoms that inspired other sitcoms, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they become their own thing. Even live shows, like Saturday Night Live, Mad TV came along. It didn't feel like a ripoff. It felt like its own thing. There's no way you'd be able to take what Mystery Science Theater did and do it again without it feeling like a ripoff. It was the most unique experience, and it took something that people do when you're sitting and watching a movie with your friends,
and it's bad,
and in order to salvage the experience, you make fun of it. And it's this great thing, and we'll get into it based on what we've sort of the conclusions we came to from meeting Joel. Became this great thing that took an element out of your personal life of making fun of a bad movie and made it something you could watch by yourself at home with this great show.
Yeah.
So the reason I think it's the best television show ever is because it not only took this old thing, these old movies that people would sit through and be quiet through, even if they were bad, and it made fun of that. But it also became the precursor of, whether we realize it or not, it became the precursor of forums online.
Oh, yeah.
Where you sort of make fun of everything.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, somebody's got something to say about it now. And there wasn't anything like that before. There wasn't... it's hard to explain without living through that time period. But there wasn't anything like this that would sort of make fun of what was happening on screen. Yeah. I actually wanted there to be like a channel that was just them making fun of everything. The commercials, whatever was on. I wanted these guys to be making fun of everything because it was this voice that sort of made fun of the silliness of what we expect out of television and what we expect out of entertainment. So it was just great. It was the fourth wall coming to life. What do you think of it? I mean...
No, it's definitely my... one. You know, it is my favorite show.
It has to
because I keep coming back to it. There's episodes where I know the jokes, and I quote them along with the actors, but I love them. I can't get enough of it. I laugh every time. And I told somebody else this once. A lot of the jokes in Mystery Science Theater are like a grenade. Because sometimes you hear a joke and you don't get it, but you still laugh.
But like, you remember it.
It's in your back of your mind, and days later, like something will jog the joke, and you'll get it, and you'll start laughing about it.
Or you'll come across it'll be something that you didn't know before.
Yeah, I've learned a lot of stuff from the show.
Yeah.
Another cool thing about it is all these old movies that they've pulled out, kicking and screaming and made fun of, have become cult favorites in their own right now because people have rediscovered these films because of Mystery Science Theater.
Well, what it's done, and I don't think a lot of people give it enough credit. I mean, I don't think you could have sci-fi originals without Mystery Science Theater. Because you watch sci-fi originals with this anticipation that you're not going to like it and you're going to make fun of it internally. Right?
Yeah.
And there are many movies like that now.
Or I think they're fueled...
I don't think, and I'm going to get into that later, but I don't think it's because of our cynical nature. I think that the show prepped people, because even though it never got like the popularity of other shows that came out at the time, like Friends or Seinfeld or anything like that just got this, stratospheric level of popularity, it became well known enough because of its format. I think it really integrated itself into our culture more than people realize.
Oh, yeah.
and it became this thing where you can watch horrible movies now,
but still get some sort of enjoyment
and get some sort of enjoyment out of it, in a way that you couldn't before. Before the show, if a horrible movie was on, you would turn it off. Now you kind of sort of look for your, internal joker, your internal cynic, who will watch a bad movie and, I'll watch this horrible movie and I'll get a good joke out of it somehow. None of that happened before. None of it. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah. It just wasn't there, and all of a sudden it was. Yeah. There are great shows, but none of them that changed things the way this one did. I really think so. And I'm open to argument about it, but I don't think I'm wrong. I mean, just because of the uniqueness of it and the way you can't redo it without obviously copying it. So
it has been copied a couple times.
Not successfully.
Fans have done it, and then you have the different groups that branched out off of it. Riff tracks.
Well, the thing about that, though, is that the most successful groups that came out of it were the people who were initially involved with MST3K. I mean, Riff Tracks is great. Cinematic Titanic didn't really take off like it should have. Yeah. But it was still arguably very good. I think where they failed, and this is probably where I can segue into Joel, is what you said. The cynical nature that the show took and the way people are, I think, lends itself to Riff Tracks more than Cinematic Titanic. Do you agree with me on that aspect?
I think also it's, the Riff Tracks took off more because they make fun of more modern movies and big Hollywood blockbusters, because Cinematic Titanic stuck with the weird cult and unknown movies that Joel and the original creators, well, he's the original creator, but the original people were more fond of them. They sought those movies out.
Well, that's where I want to get to Joel and my theories about Joel, and I think they're all right. Joel totally created this show, and we didn't realize that until we saw his Riffing Myself thing, which he doesn't do anymore, unfortunately. Yeah. He was developing a show called Riffing Myself. He was he would say in the show, he didn't know what he was doing yet, and he was trying to feel it out and see if he could make something out of it. Unfortunately, he didn't, but it was a great peek inside of his life. Oh, yeah. And it was sort of, this is your life, done by someone that it was their life. But he did it so well that you sort of, he picked these very intimate moments from his life, whether it was the puppeteer from his church, or the shows and books that influence his aesthetic style of the show, his magic, his comedy routines. He showed you everything building up to Mystery Science Theater, and he really showed you that his life, his culminating moment that was just an amalgamation of everything in his life, was Mystery Science Theater, and you can't take that away from him. It was almost like a court case where he's presenting the facts that I made this show, and you can't refute them. Like the very personal moments, the things that he showed from his childhood.
I was trying to remember how he came up with Mystery Science Theater 3000, because he explained it. He broke it down into detail how he came up with the name of the show. Yeah. And I can't remember for the life of me how he did it.
I can't either. But the title was kind of irrelevant compared to the fact that by then he had shown you so many things, whether it was the robots, the puppets, the magic.
Yeah. The robots which he made the night before the first show was being shot.
Yes, he showed you everything to the point where you're like, this was his baby. Yeah. And his baby was stolen from him. It really was. And that's where I want to delve off into my theories about him and what really keeps the show alive. He did leave the show. It was at season 5.
Yeah, towards the end of season 5, or right in the middle of season 5.
Yeah,
because there's still 13 episodes after that.
It was jarring for me as a child, growing into whatever between childhood and teenager, preteen, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Adolescent.
I don't even know. They categorize everything. Tween. There you go.
You were a tweener.
I was a tweener before tweener was a word. And I was about a tweener age when he was leaving the show, and they threw Mike in there, and it was very jarring for me. It was hard enough when Servo's voice changed.
Oh, after season 1, when Weinstein was replaced.
It was difficult for me to watch with someone else other than Joel, so I kind of dropped off after that. But I came back. But my point is, I think the reason that he left was not only was he increasingly not getting along with the producer, but it was something that he totally created, and it was getting away from him, and it was becoming difficult for him creatively. I mean, if you came up with every aspect of something, and then someone was trying to take it away from you and changing, I think it would be jarring. I think it would be emotionally hard. And he had a Reddit AMA that pretty much he said just as much as that, and he's also had a great interview on Pod People podcast, which is a great name for a podcast. Yeah. But they asked him all the right questions, and he talked quite a bit for an hour about this. And I really think Joel's not the kind of guy who's going to drag people through the mud. Or start a war with words. I mean, he still loves the show. Yeah. I think creatively, I think the show, the producer, and the people on board at that point wanted to make fun of everything because they knew that was the lifeblood of the show. Yeah. Making fun of things. Joel aesthetically wanted to keep it science fiction. I believe this is all theory. Okay. And he wanted to not make fun of things that still had some life in them. And he said that during his Riffing Myself. Yeah. There's something about kicking something that's already down. I think he said that exactly. That isn't as bad as kicking something that might have some, people might like it in some way. And he didn't like making fun of things that were not as susceptible to humor as others. So I think that's where he left. Now, maybe that was a good point for him to leave because the show, in a way, took a funnier turn when he left. It really did. Yeah.
It's more scathing and kind of mean-spirited, you said.
Yes. It took a mean-spirited turn that Joel doesn't have in his humor. Yeah. But Mike does.
Yeah. Joel liked to poke fun. Mike just likes to eviscerate things verbally, it seems.
With a smile on his face.
Oh, yeah. But he does it in hopes
sort of the mantra of riff tracks is Hollywood had it coming. Yeah. And I think there's something to be said about that. Mm-hmm. Hollywood really does have it coming. Mm-hmm. The way they treat us as an audience. So, I don't know if I'm more cynical as an adult, but it does appeal to me that Mike took over and took it in a direction that, as an adult, I could understand more.
Well, he was kind of handpicked by Joel to take over the show, so...
Well, he was a writer, I think, wasn't he?
He started off as a writer in season 1, and then his role grew and grew as the years went by, as the seasons went by.
That was what was... I told you this before we started the show, because we watched
the Blood Waters of Dr. Z.
I guess Dr. Z had a little kidney problem.
If there's any circumstances in which you're going to watch something unwatchable, it's going to be if it's been riffed on. Yeah. That is... I can't see how anyone could get through that.
Or Manos, the Hands of Fate.
Well, Manos.
Right. Not in so many words.
Manos.
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
Tonight, Manos gets caught in a deadly game of cat and mouse.
Or a lot of the stuff they made fun of, but that one was, especially we're about to shower love on this show. Yeah. And we watched something absolutely horrible. But that's the funny thing about them, is that no matter how bad the movie they're making fun of is, you're going to get a belly laugh at some point.
Oh, yeah.
If not 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. The best ones, and you have a rank of the best episodes.
Oh, yeah. I ranked my favorite 10 Joel and Mike episodes.
And we'll get to that.
Okay.
But the best ones have quite a few belly laughs.
Oh, yeah.
But every show, at some point, if you stick with it, will get you laughing about something that you're seeing. And there aren't a lot of things that you can say that about. You certainly can't say it about 75% of Adam Sandler's career.
Oof. Ouch.
Yes.
I think he's on the comeback trail. No, I don't actually. I'm kind of done with Adam.
I think the problem with Adam is that he got to be a family man and a decent person and kind of wanted to separate himself and divorce himself from the immature.
I think that's what happens with a lot of the comedians we love. Is it like
that their private life influences their professional?
Look at Eddie Murphy too. I mean, he was the king in the '80s, and then somewhere in the mid to late '90s,
he tried to become a Family Guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then things went downhill from there.
So I guess the story is don't have a family.
Don't have a family. But I mean, it happens to like great directors and stuff too. I mean, like George Lucas, he lost the edge. Spielberg, I think he kind of lost his edge too.
Actually, it's funny you say that. Spielberg missed Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Mm-hmm.
He said he would not have made that movie if he had had kids, because the whole movie's about a father leaving his kids to go live with aliens. I mean, he said there's no way he would have told that story now.
Yeah.
And it's true. I mean, your private life does influence your professional life, whether you want it to or not. And the same goes with this show.
Yeah.
And the same goes with the movies that this show made fun of. And Adam Sandler.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
I think the great thing about Riff Tracks, while we're plugging things, is that it does give you an opportunity to make fun of things that are very current.
Yeah.
The one failing that you could say about Mr. Giant's Theater is that it's all really obscure. And you have to have a love for the show, or what the show is trying to do, to get it. But anybody, damn near anybody, will be ready to make fun of a new movie. I mean, you see it all the time now.
Oh, absolutely.
So, what is your top 10 of... Do you have it ready?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I have it right here. I just posted it on my website the other day.
Okay.
So, do you want to do the Joel episodes?
Let's start with Joel.
All right, number 1 is Pod People.
That's my. I'm only going to pick one of each.
Yeah.
And my one of Joel would be Pod People.
That's the one that I hold closest to my heart, because it's the one that got me hooked on the show.
The reason I like that one is that even the in-between segments were
the
good.
host segments are great.
Yeah. When TV's Frank comes on, he's got that I'm a Virgin shirt on. I still crack up.
Yeah. When they parody the song from the movie, they call it, what do they call it? Idiot Control now?
Yeah.
Sack of monkeys in my pocket. My sister's ready to go. Hear the engines roll now. Idiot control now.
And then it zooms in on Joel and he goes, "It stinks." Yeah, it's the whole. That's the most encompassing great show. I think it's actually Joel's two favorite. Before we get into ours, are Pod People, and his favorite Mike episode is
The Final Sacrifice.
Final Sacrifice,
yeah, which is awesome.
Roused Hour. Nobody leaves the World Wrestling Federation.
Yeah, we can see that's an episode we can sit here and quote all the jokes from start to finish. Oh crap! All right, so yeah, that one's definitely my favorite one
of Joel.
That's my number 1. My number 2 is Cave Dwellers.
Okay.
With how much O'Keefe is in that movie?
Miles.
And then of course the 2 Godzilla episodes from season 2.
The Megalon one's great.
They do the whole thing. The stunt driver guy, they call him Rex Start, Eskimo Spy.
Stand by for action! Rex Start, Eskimo Spy.
What's great about that, and I think some of the best episodes are movies that you would watch anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I love Godzilla vs. Megalon, and them making fun of it is great, too.
And then number 5, Teenagers from Outer Space.
Okay.
That's the one with the giant lobsters at the end. They're going.
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay.
Number 6, The Killer Shrews.
Oh, that's man. A good one. That is a good one. With the dogs dressed up as shrews,
yeah,
right?
They got like carpet remnants attached to them. And
yes.
And they have a theme song. They came up with a Killer Shrews theme song and a Killer Shrew drink in the whole segments of that episode.
Killer Shrew, K-I-double-L-E-R Shrew. He's scary and tough. If that ain't enough, he's augmented with Batman and stuff.
That is one of the better Joel ones. I agree with you on that.
My 7th one is Attack of the Giant Leeches. Little Roger Corman ditty.
Yeah. That's not the one where it invades the dance hall, is it? Or is that
no,
the
that's the Creeping Terror.
Creeping Terror.
And then number 9 is Hercules Unchained. They've done a lot of Hercules episodes, but this one's my personal favorite. It's the one that introduces the concept of deep hurting.
Okay.
Yeah, have you seen that one?
I don't know.
It's with Steve Reeves. It was actually a machiste flick, but they...
No, I saw the ones with Arnold Schwarzenegger's godfather there. What was his name?
Alan Steele?
Could have been that. There's one of those guys ended up being really like big in Arnold's life.
And then finally, number 10 for my Joel episodes is Mitchell, and it's the final Joel episode.
Mitchell's a great one, and Joel had no part of the feud between Jordan Baker and the show itself. A lot of that came out of, you said, Final Justice.
I'm assuming Final Justice, because that one...
The burp and fart. Pretty much most of the jokes in that one were aimed directly at
90% of them were fat jokes aimed at Jordan Baker.
Yeah. And that kind of ties into the cynical nature that I'm talking about, where they weren't afraid to make fun of people involved and their private lives, people involved on screen. Yeah. And I think Joel didn't like that. One of Joel's favorite questions in the Reddit AMA was, are there any people that you regretted making fun of? And he said, that's such a great question, because yes, there was a guy, and I wish I could reference this. There was a guy in one of the episodes that he made fun of, and he ended up running into him. And he's like, hey, oh, I'm so sorry about what I said. And the guy's like, yeah, whatever. He goes, the guy was actually pretty nice about it, because the guy said, without Mr. Science Theater, I wouldn't even have this convention circuit, because that's where they ran into each other at a convention. So he was nice about it in that respect, but Joel still felt bad, because, I guess he's a decent person, and he felt bad that he made fun of someone who actually is flesh and blood. Yeah. So
Joel has a conscience.
Yeah. Mike does not, I guess.
He doesn't. Well, you know what I found out about Mike that I didn't realize is he's like a devout, I think a Protestant, like a Methodist.
I think
goes
he's
to church
Methodist.
every Sunday, and he does a lot of charity work and stuff. And I was like, oh wow, I guess that's him exercising his demons at the microphone every time they do a commentary.
Well, they always have clean jokes. They definitely do. Mm-hmm. Even Riff Tracks is very clean, but it doesn't mean there isn't a mean-spirited edge to it. That it did take a mean-spirited edge after Joel left. Yeah. Which actually lended itself to better jokes, I think. But the aesthetic of the show changed, because you and I both agreed that the Invention Exchange was much better.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the in-between host segments were better when Joel was there, because I think Joel was making a total product where Mike and later on, they were just kind of, this is what we pad the time out with. And some of it was good, some was okay, but it wasn't as cohesive as what Joel was trying to do. Joel was trying to make a real show of something that was sort of really happening, where all that went out the window once they changed everything. Yeah. Which is fine, because the essence of the show wasn't lost. Yeah. The essence of the show
is the
riffing. And you can't take that away from it. So, saying that, what were your top Mike episodes?
All right, number 1 is Werewolf.
I don't know, you had him last.
That's the one that helped me rediscover the show in the 90s.
Yes.
And
with a guy that you know very well, Joe Estevez?
Yeah, that's the one that introduced me to Joe Estevez. I don't know him very well, but I correspond with him here and there, because I got quoted on a book that he like.
Yeah, you have a blurb on his book.
I got a blurb on his book. But yeah, that's the one that introduced me to Joe Estevez, and the jokes in that one like fly fast and furious. Like they don't skip a beat.
It's a very good episode.
It's amazing. So yeah, my second favorite is Soul Taker, which is yet again another Joe Estevez movie. But that one in particular, I like it because Joel makes a guest appearance.
Not just Joe. But yes, Joel makes an appearance. That nobody knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like shocked when I saw him. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And then TV's Frank shows up too.
Yeah, it was just too much.
Yeah.
It was overload.
Oh.
It was like, no, it really was, because it's like, here's everything that I love about this show in one episode, and it actually wasn't one of the best ones for them to make fun of. Even though Robert Zadar is also in it.
Boy, and the fact, a small face.
And they have these just, like, the things that they, like, have their power from are just these glow-in-the-dark wristbands.
They're funny glow condoms, yes. Like in the palm of their hand.
Like things that kids wear on Halloween for safety, and they're like, all of a sudden they're these trans-dimensional.
And they use Ghostbusters technology to suck the soul out of your body.
Okay.
It's a great movie. You know what's funny about that is when we watched that episode once, Tara was actually into the movie, not like the jokes. My fiance was like, "Shut up! I'm trying to watch the movie." I'm like, "What are you talking about? They're making fun of this shit."
Trying to make fun of, yeah.
So yeah, that's number 2. Number 3 is Puma Man.
The Puma Man.
Does that sound right?
The Puma Man.
I think that's what I mean to say.
The Puma Man.
Now it just sounds funny.
That one's a personal
Pumaman.
The Pumaman with
Yeah.
Donald Pleasance. And one of the best theme songs ever, you know, Puma Man, he flies like a moron.
Yeah.
When you want the flavor of bacon in a dip.
Well, and
Vidunia.
who's the guy that helps him become the Puma Man?
I can't remember the actor's name, but he was in Caveman.
Yes, I was going to say, he's in Caveman.
He gets his eyebrows burnt
Yeah.
off. Number 4 is Devilfish, which we could agree
Awesome.
on.
That is a great episode. I love the point of view shot with the gun, where the gun's pointing at somebody, and it's in it looks like a library. Yeah. It's just you have late fees.
You have overdue books.
Yeah, that's what it was.
But every time there's a point of view shot, they're like dun 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 dun.
Oh, and the guy with the horrible, ugly face, and like they're saying so many face jokes. Use your face if you have to.
The guy like hands him money. He's like, "Here, buy yourself something ugly." You know? say I look like Mickey Dolenz.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
That's a great episode. If you haven't watched MST3K, check that one out. That's a great starter point.
Okay, and the next one on my list is Final Sacrifice, which everybody knows super well. Zap Razdauer fighting Canadian villain Garth Vader.
You can go online and buy Razdauer's shirts.
You can. Yeah.
I should. Anyone who will watch that episode will buy a Razdauer shirt after that, because Razdauer has saved the world.
Oh, baby, Razdauer saves us and saves all the world. Ooh.
And got his own theme song in the process.
If you ever want to watch a movie where a guy who's overweight with a mullet saved the world, I mean, he looks like Danny McBride.
He's got like hockey hair.
Yeah, he's like a Danny McBride saving the world, and then on top of it, Mr. Science Theory is making fun of it. Then there you go.
Plus, the guy from the Red Green Show makes an appearance. Number 6 is Boggy Creek 2, and the legend continues.
That's a great one.
To not be heard by anyone. It is. What's weird is it's the third Boggy Creek movie, but it's the official sequel.
It's one of the great ones because it's one of the ones that you can quote endlessly. We shall march into Forbidden Zone. Or when its baby jumps on the guy going to his shed and it's, "Give me their wallet, you son of a bitch."
Oh, that one's a great one.
Yeah, and gosh, that one's like yes.
Oh,
I want to watch that one now.
The best part's Old Man Crenshaw, though. They're like, "Wow, Thor's really hit the skids." Like, how you doing there, cuz? I love when they like. Let's move on because we'll get stuck on that episode.
Yeah.
Number 7, Prince of Space.
Yes. Prince of Space is like the best. Like, if they're going to make fun of a Japanese episode, that's the best one, I think. Even beyond the Godzilla ones.
Oh, yeah.
Just because it's sort of... Prince of Space is like the culmination of everything that was really hokey and susceptible to humor about Japanese films. And they took it on, the best way that they could.
And it's like unintentionally here. Like, when they were making this, they were like, we are making a quality show or movie. Like, the enemy spaceship looks like a fried chicken, which they bring up numerous times.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, it's gonna rain giblets on us." And the Phantom of Crankor and
This is Crankor Exploration Force speaking.
Crankor?
The Giant. The Giant's my favorite part of that whole movie. It just wanders around aimlessly and gains weight.
It's worth checking out if you haven't seen it. Yes.
Number 8 is an interesting one. The Time Chasers.
Is that the one with the prop planes that go through time? Yes. There's enough room.
The director of that, David Giancola, approached them and said, "Hey, I would love my movie to be on your show." And then I guess they had like a big premiere party, like the director had all the stars.
And then he was shocked that they made fun of it, right?
He was okay with it, but it kind of killed the mood of the party because everybody else didn't realize that they were super vicious to this movie in this episode.
Like, well, especially the main star who had the biggest chin in show business, apparently. It was like somebody like took what he's just. It was like somebody took Kirk Douglas's chin and then just inflated it, like to a point that it was inhuman.
It had like that notch in the chin right there.
Yeah,
the heroic butt chin.
Well, there's how many chin jokes in them? Like they get in the
goodness.
cab and he's like, you have to put your chin in the trunk." I think they say.
You need some chinderwear. Or we're just kissing the girl. He's like, "Oh, his chin's engulfing her face." You know, like, oh my god. But that was a great episode, too.
Yeah.
My 9th one is Giant Spider Invasion.
Hey, it's a giant spider invasion of savings at Menards.
Oh, this is when all those spider singers came over from Great Britain.
Yes.
From Bill Rebane. You haven't seen that one, he said.
No, I almost watched it.
You have to. They are severely cruel to Alan Hale, who's the skipper on Gilligan's Island.
Oh, is he on that?
Yes.
Okay.
They are so mean to him, but it's hilarious.
Wait, are there points where he's lost in the fog and they keep going, "Skipper, little buddy"? Or is that Lost Continent?
I think that's Lost Continent.
Is it?
And Pod People, too.
That might be a reoccurring joke with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, definitely check that one out.
Packers!
Packers! Please, if you'll all just go back to your drinking. Go Packers!
And my final one is The Screaming Skull from Season 9.
Okay. Season 9 was really good.
That was a solid season. That's where most of these episodes come from. That one comes with a Gumby short. And at the end of it, like it's called Robot Rumpus, and Gumby and Pokey get robots to do all their chores and they malfunction.
Yeah.
But then they destroy the robots, so like Servo and Crow are like, "Oh god, it's worse than 7," you know.
Right. Well, you know what though? Like the shorts, and you're picking out movies that are the best to make fun of, but you can't go wrong with the shorts they made fun of. And even with riff tracks, the shorts are the best ones.
Oh yeah, Norman.
What's the No Springs? What's that one?
Oh god, they did that for Riff Tracks and Mystery Science Theater. It's a Case of Spring Fever.
Yes.
With Springy the Spring Sprite.
The name's Coily. Coily the Spring Sprite, they call me. No springs.
Yes. Or there's another one, Be Good, or
Mr. Be Good, or Mr. Be Natural.
Mr. Be Natural, yes.
Yeah.
And it's a woman.
Yeah, I know.
But it's just horrible. It's just horrible. And it's funny because, I don't know, this generation doesn't have to sit through that stuff.
Nope.
I had to, like in homeroom, I had to sit through these, like, old, one-reel information, like, movies that were just stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you weren't learning anything, and it was just bizarre to be watching it. And it was stuff like this. And if you ever catch any of these shorts, like, it's just, it makes fun of, I don't know, maybe it's better to me because I had to sit through it when no one was making fun of it. But you have to experience this to understand that this is stuff that was actually shown to kids.
Oh, yeah.
Like, to teach them how to be human beings. And it was so far off base from what they should actually be that it's hilarious.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, my favorite Joel is Pod People, which is likable to anybody.
Yeah.
And my favorite Mike, which isn't on your list, is Revenge of the Creature.
I know it is. Fellow milkmen down.
Yeah, that one's like I mentioned earlier. It's endlessly quotable.
Yeah.
Like Boggy Creek is for me. There's just so much in it, and it's just one great joke after another. They take every aspect of the film and make it funny.
I'm amazed that Universal allowed them to do it.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood's in it.
Clint Eastwood's in it. But...
For 2 seconds, but it's still Clint, and it's still shocking.
I always feed them.
Seeing as how I've got a 44 Magnum in my pocket, the most powerful handgun in the world.
How'd he get in here?
Yeah, this guy's bad. This is his first and last movie.
Like John Agar's in it, and they make fun of John like they should.
Peter Graves' brother, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm Peter Graves, and John Agar is my brother. You know.
There's just so many great moments. It was actually, I think it was the first episode that launched them into Sci-Fi Channel, if I remember right.
Yeah, season 8 was the start of the sci-fi era.
I remember when that came back on, and I was like, I'm going to give this another shot, because I kind of dropped off in the middle there. And that's when I fell back in love with it again. And I recorded that on something called a VHS tape.
Oh, I had like 4 or 5 VHS tapes with like 3 or 4
the Turkey Day
episodes
marathons.
Oh,
Turkey Day marathons, like, I have tons of those lying around. But anyway. And I would take this VHS tape and show it to like friends of mine, and I was like, "You got to watch the show." And that was the one that actually converted people for me.
Yeah.
And I know you found things like that. There are things that you can find that kind of like gateway drugs to these things that are great. But you have to sort of lure them into it. And Revenge of the Creature is a great way for me to lure people into Mystery Science
That was your
Theater.
lure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because it was something mainstream enough, but also relatable and funny.
Yeah.
It had all the elements you needed. There are other ones that I can just sit down and watch that nobody gets and laugh my ass off. But that's a great one. So I picked that as my favorite just because it's all encompassing, not because it has the best laughs of any of them.
It has some damn good ones though.
It does. It does. Do you want me to repeat a bunch of lines? I love it when they're okay. I love all the dolphin scenes because like they have all these dolphins that like, and they keep making fun of joke that like how the dolphins can be smarter than the humans. Like if we only had opposable thumbs. And now Flippy jumps in the hoop, and Flippy jumps through, and he goes, "I do not accept my slave name." And there's just this scene it cuts to just nothing, and this guy throws something into the water, and Servo goes, "And now the depth charge."
And all the jokes about the employees of the park, the security, they all dress like the Good Humor Man.
Yes, they do. The milkmen. They all look like milkmen.
Do you need any milk, sir?
Do you need any milk, sir? Fellow milkman, down!
Where the creature leaps out of its paddock before they like, it's like I'm a freshwater creature, help!
So yeah, that's another great one.
Oh man!
If you're familiar with Mr. Science Theater and you haven't bought the set that contains that episode, it's worth it for that episode alone.
Absolutely.
Where do we conclude something like this? Because it's still sort of going. I guess what we'll say. I guess where we can conclude it is where I mentioned earlier. We met Joel.
Yeah.
Twice.
Mm-hmm.
The first time at his riffing myself thing,
which was awesome because he was getting ready to leave, and you were like, "Let's get a picture with him." Okay, let's go. Well, you talk to him because you talk to celebrities all the time, so you know what to say.
Yeah,
like, put me on the spot.
No, he was really like the first person that was in my realm of celebrity that I was nervous around.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that I don't really care about that are famous that I probably wouldn't, think twice about.
Yeah.
But this was like my Jesus. So I was very nervous around this man.
So we approached him, and then he's like, "What can I do for you guys?" "Oh, we'd like a photo op." And he's like, "Oh, okay, but not here. Follow me." And then prior to that, there was a woman talking his ear off. Like, "Hey, so what happened to the robots?"
Yeah, about something. No, it was about something that he wasn't even part of.
Oh, the movie. Yeah, so that was kind of awkward.
Which was,
we love this movie so much. He's like, yeah, I didn't really have anything to do with that.
I'm glad you like it, but I wasn't in that. I didn't star in that.
And she's like, where are the robots at? And I was just like, they're tell your kids they're in a museum or something. And Joel's like, there you go. That's a good answer. They're in a museum. She's like, no, I mean the original ones. It's not, He's like, I really don't know, ma'am. He's like, they kind of vanished after a while. But the best part was
that's also what makes me nervous. I don't want to have that moment of awkwardness with Joel. So I didn't know what to do or say that wouldn't just be everyday talk that would be significant.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times can you tell a supermodel she's pretty? So
I'm your biggest fan.
Yeah, I really am his biggest fan, but it would be meaningless to say that to him. Because
it was cool because he walked us through the crowd and he made sure we were behind him every step of the way because people stopped him every 5 yards. Like, "Oh, hey, you're great."
Well, what was cool about it is we had the audacity to go down in front of the people who did the VIP pay.
Oh yeah.
To actually, because there was a VIP thing where you could meet him before the show, and they were all seated in the front, and we had the cojones to go down there and ask him for a photograph for free after they paid for it. And he looked around and he's like, Yeah, I'll do it, but not in front of them.
So
he made sure that we were with him until he got to the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
And then he took a picture with us, and he was obviously tired.
Oh, yeah.
So we didn't take up too much of his time.
Yeah.
But he had the, I'm going to say, integrity to hold up his end of the bargain and take a picture with us. A stupid picture with a couple of guys who had too many beers.
Yeah.
And
well, I got him to laugh because you're like there, the big grin on your face, beer in your hand, arm around Joel.
Yeah.
But the beer really sells it, and Joel just like smirked. He's like,
So the second time we met him was at Chiller, which is just a nightmare.
It should be called that Chiller Nightmare.
But we met him, and it was, I don't want to say it was bad and a bad experience, but it was much more about money that time, because that's all Chiller is about.
Yes.
So this time around, I had to pay to get a picture with him.
Yeah.
But I got to talk to him more,
which
was nice, and so did you.
Yeah.
So I think we got a little more out of it.
Yeah. Well, you made me feel self-conscious after, we left the room.
Because the gay thing.
Well, he asked us, "Oh, you guys together?" "Oh, we're together, but we're not together."
Yeah. He. To be clear, he asked you guys together, but he said it in a way that I think he said it in a way like, "Are you both here in line with me together?"
Yeah.
But you made a joke like, "Oh, we're here together to see you, but we're not together."
I am available. No.
I don't. You didn't say anything too offensive.
No.
But,
oh, thanks. Too offensive.
Yeah.
See, there it is. There it is.
Well, we were walking away. I was like, "Well, how do you know Joel isn't gay?" And you were like, "Why you got me thinking about that now?" You're like, "Why do people do this to me?" I'm like, "Well, you made the joke." Whatever.
It was funny though. Yeah, I mean, when I was talking to him, I told him like we made it to his Riffing Myself show. He's like, "Oh, thanks a lot." I'm like, "You still do that?" He's like, "No, just do conventions now. That's it."
You got to talk to him for a while, so it's good.
Yeah. I tried to see people do this all the time. Like, "Oh yeah, I met you back at this show. Oh yeah, I remember you." But I don't think he really remembered us. I was like, "Yeah, we were there. We got a picture with you before we got in the elevator."
Did he say he remembered us?
He said, "Yeah," just to be polite. He's like, "I remember you guys. Yeah."
He might have.
He may have.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for my own sake.
Well, I made sure to say remember when you were about to leave and a woman was asking you annoying questions and we kind of came in, saved the day, and asked for a photo with you? He's like, "Oh yeah."
Well, neither experience with Joel is bad.
No,
I'll say that.
No, he's very personable.
He's a very nice guy, and my daughter was with me the second time, and she wouldn't take a picture. There's $20 for a picture with him and Tom Servo.
Yeah,
which is, to me, I would have paid that the first time, so it's not like I'm complaining about it. So I took the picture, and I got to say something that I think covered what I wanted to say the first time, because I just made the joke about the how many times can you tell a supermodel she's pretty?
Yeah.
Well, my daughter was standing off to the side, and I wanted her to come in the picture, and she wouldn't, because she was real nervous, and she kind of had her finger in her mouth, and she was real, chewing on her nail, and really nervous. And I pointed at her, I said, "That was how I was the first time I met you," to Joel. And I thought it was a flattering joke.
Yeah.
And he kind of laughed, and then we got our picture, and we kind of moved on after that. And I was happy. I had a lot of closure at that moment, because there's a chance I'll never meet Joel again.
Yeah.
But I got to meet somebody that I'd fallen asleep to. Maybe I shouldn't mention that yet. But somebody that meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
And I got to say something that he understood that he meant a lot to me, and it was worth it. It was the same thing with Godzilla. It's just something where they have no idea how much they mean to us.
Yeah.
And I think it's neat that they at least show it publicly. For that moment, I know they have to go through plenty of crazies to get to it.
Oh, yeah.
But I guarantee you, 1 out of 10 of those people that show up, it really means a lot to them. So it's great that he showed up for that moment for me twice.
Yeah.
So it was good.
We met a lot of legends this year.
Yeah, we did.
Mm-hmm.
So the sleep thing, because I already dropped it there.
We thought it was just us.
Anytime we watch Mystery Science Theater, we love the show, but there's some point where you're fighting to stay awake.
Yeah.
And actually, when I was a teenager, I had those Turkey Day episodes, and my uncle gave me, because he runs hotels, he gave me a VCR that would automatically
rewind
because it was like a security tape one. So I had Turkey Day episodes going around the clock just to go to sleep to, and I slept like a baby. every time we watch an episode, there's some point where we're fighting.
I start to get drowsy, yeah.
My brother and sister-in-law love MST3K and riff tracks, and they come over, and we all, at some point, fall asleep. And I was like, is this some kind of phenomenon? So I go on to Reddit, and people really sleep to this show.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is it about this show that even though you love it and it's making you laugh, at some point you're going to be comatose, no matter how hard you try to fight it? Because you did it tonight with Bloodwater.
I literally was.
I had to
out.
wave popcorn under your nose to wake you up.
Yeah, you did. I was out another minute and I would have been gone for good. I don't know what it is though.
Sleep researchers need to really tap into the show, because I guess there are sleep researchers, right?
Yeah.
They research everything.
Yeah.
So they really need to pay attention to the show. There's something about this show that I don't know if it's like the disconnect between what they're saying and what's happening on screen that makes you fall asleep. It can't be the soothing nature of what you're seeing, because you're watching a horrible movie.
Yeah.
And what they're saying is hilarious. Generally, if I'm hearing something funny, it doesn't make me knock out. What is it? I invite our listeners to join in on this. Please, try and help us figure out.
Yeah. Tell us if it happens to you. Try and explain
This
it.
has to happen. This has to happen to other people than us. But what is it? It's bizarre. And it doesn't... You know what? It doesn't happen during riff tracks. When I watch riff tracks, it doesn't happen. It's just Mystery Science Theater. What the hell is going on there? All right, so we'll end the show on a question for the first time.
No.
Rather than a conclusion. Why does that happen?
We may never find out.
Yeah, this is like, how many licks does it take to get to the end of a Tootsie Pop?
3. If you're an owl.
3 if you have like a 30-second span to get the commercial done. Yes, 3.
So yeah, give us your thoughts on that. Does it put you to sleep, and do you know why? To me, it's just, I don't know, something comforting about it. And
it is comforting, but there's other
there
things
wide
I watch
awake.
that are comforting that
I sit there wide awake, and like, it's an episode I enjoy, and next thing I know, I wake up and it's over. I'm like, what happened? Rewind.
I mentioned on the previous show, It's a Wonderful Life is very comforting to watch around Christmas.
Hmm.
Doesn't make me fall asleep. What the hell is going on with Mystery Science Theater? It makes me fall asleep, and I love it. I want to be awake. So, okay, we're done. This was a very heartfelt show.
Yes, big feels.
Much feels. And I really hope that people listen to it, because it might be the closest to our heart that you've ever gotten.
So thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time.
Yep.